Joining us right now is Roger Altman. He, of course, is the founder and senior chairman of Evercore, a good friend of the show. And Roger, it's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Becky.
Joining us. You are somebody we kind of always look to as a moderating voice. So why don't you talk us through your take on the Mamdani election? Because you look at the New York Post, you look at other places, they say this is basically the end. You've got a slightly more restrained view on it. Not that you voted for him.
I think there are three main points here. One is, it's an amazing political win. So this guy has a lot of political talent, and you have to take your hat off to him. Number two, we just, in the city, endured 12 years of de Blasio and Adams, who, in my view, were both incompetent. And yet the city prospered in many respects.
So in other words, it's okay if it's a ham sandwich running the place?
And so I think it's hard to imagine that he's going to be worse than they were. Hard to imagine. In addition, the mayoralty has its limits. No taxing authority. Port Authority runs the airports and the ports. MTA is a separate entity. It's a fairly limited job. Now, the other way to look at it is, of course, what a crapshoot. He's 34 years old. He's never had a serious job. He's never managed people. He's never managed any organization. And it's probably going to be pretty chaotic in the early going. But the city is a resilient place and an amazing place. And if it survived 12 years of de Blasio and Adams, it will survive Mamdani.
Will businesses be able to function the same way? Will businesses be able to embrace and get by?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who met with Bill de Blasio and who was in the business sector or Wall Street, he wasn't exactly a warm and cuddly presence. And I had that experience. And so, yes, it will function.
Kathy Wild was here.
I just heard her, yeah.
Yeah, and look, in some ways, she, because of her job, has to be on board with whoever's coming in here. She was there at the speech last night that Mamdani gave. I take it you were not?
No, I wasn't.
What has to happen next?
Well, as Kathy said, an early sign will be who he surrounds himself with. If you look back at the night Eric Adams was elected, and you look at who was standing around him on the stage, in retrospect, it was a very bad sign. Now, I don't know what the result of the...
A lot of those people got chased out from
for
Adams.
Legal reasons.
Yeah, for legal reasons.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what decisions Mamdani will make and whether the dynamic between Jesse Tisch, for example, and Mamdani will be an acceptable one or not. But an early sign will be who he chooses. And initially, he's been surrounded by a lot of former de Blasio people, at least as I've seen it. I hope that's not the whole deal.
Well, Roger, broadening it out a little.
Yeah.
Who's the leader of the Democratic Party? And I'll tell you where I'm going with this. I heard that Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill were the new model for where Democrats are going to go, and they called them moderate. I'm not really sure that that's true.
Relative to Mamdani?
Relative to him, they're moderate. But, and Chuck Schumer, with a possible challenge from the left by AOC, it's obviously he's doing all kinds of things to try to deal with that. You were in a couple of Republican administrations, the Clinton administration and the Carter. Well, Carter maybe wasn't, but
Hoover.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good one. See, Roger knows the game. That's the thing. I know. I always know I can count on you. But are you at all uncomfortable with where the geographic center of the Democratic Party is right now?
So let's talk about this. So these wins last night, Virginia, New Jersey, California referendum, Mamdani, and some of the lower races, Virginia House of Delegates and so forth.
The AG in Virginia.
A shot in the arm for Democrats because Democrats have been very demoralized. You see that in fundraising. You see that elsewhere. This will fire them up. But these are not surprising wins. These are blue locations.
Right, Becky.
What would have been surprising is if they'd lost. Now, the margins were impressive, but they're not surprising wins. Now, two more points. I think it does set the Democrats up, or generally they're set up pretty well for November 26th, and here's why. Typically, the first off-year election after a new president is a referendum on the administration. It's not really about the other party. And that's to their advantage. Secondly, Trump's approval ratings are not very good. And he's 37% approval on the economy. And on the other hand, the economy is the #1 issue. If he doesn't get that up, it's going to be tough. Now, we don't know what the final result of the gerrymanders will be, and we don't know whether Trump will try to suppress the vote in various ways. But you would have to say the Democrats at the moment look good for November 26th. But to get to your question, last night doesn't resolve the internal conflicts besetting the Democratic Party. It doesn't resolve it at all.
How far left do you go?
Well, there's an interesting new report, which I commend to you, just published the last few days, called Deciding to Win. I had nothing to do with it. But it's really smart. And there's some remarkable polling data in it, the best I've seen, which shows, number one, in recent years, the Democratic Party nationally did move to the left in a notable way. And number two, it really hurt them. And it's unmistakable data. I mean, it's just compelling. So, and of course, it argues for a move towards the center, which they call moderate. This will all play out, not really in November 26th, although to some extent, but in the presidential election of 28. But my point is, the results last night, while heartening, don't resolve this conflict. They just don't. And the Democratic brand is down and out, and the party's in tough shape, even though it seems well set up for November 26th.
Right. I've thought that if the same way that the criticism of certain mainstream Republicans is they don't push back on President Trump, where I guess moderate or right in the center people think that he should be pushed back. I see the same thing in the Democratic Party. I see poor John Fetterman just saying really normal things, and he's alone on an island. I mean, the Warners, there's so many supposedly reasonable Democrats here, and it's just crickets about really important things. And with the House, when they vote on things, there's not even a single dissenter most of the time. In 14 votes, not a single person sways from the Democrat dogma.
The Democrats are still.
They're good at that.
Well, they're still
I think
better
Republicans
at
are jealous.
Yeah, I think they are too. They're better at controlling their party.
By the way, what
Internally,
evidence of
the wins,
the challenges the party has is the shutdown.
Yeah.
I happen to think the shutdown is a national disgrace. You look at those photos of lines at food banks.
Well, we're going to disagree on this because you think it's actually blame on both sides.
No, he thinks.
Oh, I do. I think
nobody
it is
doing a great job.
No, that's what I mean. But a continuing CR, we've done this a million times, Roger. You know that. And it's a supermajority you need, so Republicans can't do it. It's fully extortion. And maybe we need the Medicaid thing. Maybe we need the government to pay for all health care. I can see how people would say that. But this isn't how you do it. You open the government and then decide how to do this.
Well,
you don't extort.
I'm going to agree with you in one respect. We got to end the shutdown.
Yeah.
And there's an idea floating around I've seen. I'm sure there are many. I just happen to notice this one, where they would end the shutdown in exchange for an assured vote by an assured date on the enhanced incentives for Obamacare.
Yes.
Just
that
do
seems
that.
Pretty rational.
Just do that.
For how long? A year?
What do you mean?
How long do the enhance? Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to that would be. I don't know.
To give them a vote.
Because that's only $35 billion.
Right.
But what was the $1.5 trillion? They wanted, Schumer wanted PBS funded, and I mean, $1.5 trillion is not $40 billion. It's $1.5 trillion.
But right now the issue is just the enhanced subsidies for Obamacare.
They should have said that maybe from the start.
And they need to resolve this. I mean, I think when you look at those lines at those food banks, I mean, that is terrible.